tempted and tried. We're
This morning, Miss Gertrude passed away.
made to wonder why.
She's the sweetest woman that ever drawed a breath.
And the kindest.
Never said nothing bad about nobody.
Miss Gertrude was, she was what you call kinky.
Omaha, Nebraska, Patterson, Madison, did you hear about Miss Gertrude?
No. Miss Gertrude cannot be buried in 2 Samuel.
Miss Gertrude cannot be buried in 2 Samuel.
You better hush up. Hush up. Hush up. We can't just let this slide by without anybody noticing it. I mean, what does it say about our community? About our town? She played piano at the church my Bobby is pastor.
The Bible says it's an abomination.
Mr. Moselle, you gonna be a Pharisee? Or you gonna love your neighbor?
Why you uppity?
Something you need, Miss Chimney?
You are a retard.
I love Miss Gertrude, and there ain't no need to settle no place down.
Thank you for calling me back, Dean. Listen, have you ever heard the term kinky? Well, why in the hell would I ask J. Edgar Hoover?
Hi, thank you for coming to StarNet Studios. I am Andre Tucker. Today I'm speaking to Mr. Wayne Patterson. He is the writer, director, producer, and editor. He's been a busy man on his film 2 Samuel, and this is a very inspiring film. It's an award-winning film, has some strong messaging, and he's here to talk to us about it today. So how are you doing today, Mr. Patterson?
I'm well, Andre. Thank you for letting me come on board and talk for just a minute.
Well, thanks for being here. So like I said, this is a very inspiring film. It is set in, I believe, 1949. I had a chance to look at it. It's set in the southern United States and has a lot going on. It's a small town called 2 Samuel. So I gave a few little nuggets of detail, but for anyone who hasn't seen it yet, can you tell them a little bit about what they can be looking for when they see 2 Samuel in general?
Small town in southern Georgia in 1949. Very, very Andy Griffith, Mayberry type characters. And the piano teacher dies at almost the beginning of the film. And so what happens is the town finds out a couple of secrets about her, and it becomes a little bit of consternation. How to react to those, how it affects them, and what in the long run to how to handle diversity.
Now, that's like I said, very important message, and certainly appreciate you putting something out like that. Now, then this film is actually what inspired you to get into the film business in general, correct? This particular project.
Yes, this is what finally allowed me to. So the story has been a play for over 30 years, and it's well done in Georgia, Alabama, South Carolina. Very popular Southern play, and we finally it was a confluence of all the right things coming together. We had the right kind of settings in South Alabama to be able to film this. We had connections that allowed us to get cars and prop pieces, and half of the people down here still have iron skillet frying pans that you got to use, and the right type of fishing tackle, and all of that stuff that goes into. We even found a hair perm machine from 1929 that's set up in the background. So all of those interesting details. It's got to be period piece. It has to work.
Right. And in addition to all those resources, the cars and the frying pans and things like that, and the settings, you were able to get a lot of great actors, and I'll come back to that in a moment, as well as with you wearing so many hats and a lot of different producers. For example, Miss Sherry Lipscomb, who's a good friend of mine, known her a lot of years, so I know she's very involved with this whole process. But with the actors, I mean, you've had some very recognizable people, Mr. E. Roger Mitchell, and
Fantastic.
Bethany, yep, and Bethany Ann Lynn, and you even had the grandson of President Harry Truman. Now, how did, whether it be Mr. That's Clifton Truman, so how, whether it's him or one of these other talented performers, how did you pull all of these different people together here?
Well, most of them were just inspired by the story. Clifton Truman Daniels is the grandson of Harry Truman, and the son of Margaret Truman. And he was in the newspaper business for about 30 years and had retired the year before we shot the film. And what he did was he went back to his old college in North Carolina and did the one-man show, Give 'em Hell Harry. And it got a write-up. It was an interesting thing, and it got a write-up in the New Yorker. And so we just sent an email saying, we have this part. We would love to see if you'd be interested in playing it. And it went from there. We went back and forth. And in fact, the young man who plays the pastor in the film, Wesley Truman Daniel, is Harry Truman's great grandson. And so we've got both the grandson and the great grandson in the film.
That's great. And also with this film, you've won numerous awards. I mean, you have been featured in the London International Motion Pictures, and as well as the Southeast Regional Film Festival. So I want to say congratulations on that. What are some of the people, I mean, it's one thing to be recognized on a formal film festival level. What type of response are you getting from people who come up to you face to face as far as this film?
It's amazing the kind of response we get, especially from just the average Southerner, which is so important because this is almost a missionary work. I had a gentleman come up that's just an auctioneer here in South Alabama, and he said, Jerry Wayne, I watched your film last night. That's the most amazing thing I've ever seen. And you know what? Makes me second think a couple of things I'd thought before, which is the whole purpose. If you can make people rethink how they treat other people, that was what we were trying to achieve with the film. And so it's been a fantastic response. Everybody who watches it just loves the message. We've had several different critiques on the film talking about calling it an indie gem. And the biggest thing was we have won 3 different, it's nice to be recognized as best in film, but it's fantastic when you get an audience favorite. We won the audience favorite award in Las Vegas. We won it in Hell's Kitchen, New York. And we won it in New Hope, Pennsylvania. And so it speaks outside of our region. Those audience favorite awards are just as dear to us as any Best Picture.
Yeah, and let me ask you, speaking of which, because Pete, like we've discussed, people come up to you and tell you how they feel about your film and give you that great feedback. And as I said before, you have a lot going on with this film: writing, directing, producing, and editing. So let me ask you, between people coming up to you and all the work you've done on this film, do you have time? What else do you have time to do? Like, do you have any time to get anything else? Like, what are you doing when you're not working on a film?
I am the manager at a Toyota dealership in South Alabama, and this was a bucket list. I have been involved in theater since college. I actually directed this story as a play at our local community theater. and it was very successful and touched a lot of hearts. And that's what caused us to start thinking about actually being able to do a film. Was we knew we had all of the resources. Like I said at the beginning, it was just a perfect confluence. We had all of the resources available to us. We had people who loved the message and the story, who were willing to invest a little bit and take the chance on that. That message is what was the most important thing to get out. And ultimately, it's just love your neighbor. But that's what I do in my spare time. So, well, when we're not marketing this film at this point, I try to sell a Toyota or two.
Right. Well, those of you in that part of the country, you've heard it here. You need a good Toyota, go see Mr. Wayne Patterson. Speaking of which, of the good products, a good film, good car, good film. If someone wanted to see your film, I know there are several different outlets that someone can find it, but and they're all listed on the website. So you want to give the people the website they can go to find out where they can find this film if they want to take a look at it in its entirety?
This is secondsamuelmovie.com, and it does list several places that you can see the film. You can also find us on Facebook under Second Samuel Movie. But it's on Amazon Prime. Just search. You may have to get past the Samuel L. Jackson films to find Second Samuel, but it's on Amazon Prime and Hulu and AT&T Direct, and it is also on Tubi and Roku. And in another 10 days, it will be on YouTube as a watch with commercials.
Well, there you have it. Lots of different options to see this film. So, all right. Well, Wayne, I want to tell you thank you for coming on. I appreciate your time, and I wish you and the rest of your cast and crew further success with this project or any other projects that may be coming into the future.
Thank you, Andre. Appreciate your time, too.